New York never sleeps, even when the rain falls in relentless sheets, turning the city into a fractured canvas of neon and shadow. The streets glistened like liquid glass, their distorted light stretching endlessly in the downpour. A black Aston Martin DB11 cut through the storm like a wounded beast, its engine growling with unrestrained fury. Behind the wheel, Damian Hayes, CEO of Hayes International Hotels, gripped the leather steering wheel, his vision hazy from alcohol and frustration. The whiskey still burned in his throat, mixing with the bitter taste of the night. His board members, leeches in tailored suits, had torn apart his strategies, questioning his control over the empire he built from the ground up. "Bloodsuckers," he muttered, slamming his foot on the gas. The traffic light ahead flashed red. He ignored it. 12 blocks away, Maya Carter stood beneath the library's awning, hugging her economics degree against her chest. 6 years of exhaustion, of relentless studying and juggling 3 jobs had led to this very moment. Yet, staring into the rain-soaked streets, she felt nothing. She raised a hand to hail a cab. A yellow taxi swerved toward her, slowing just as a streak of red tore through the intersection. Her breath caught. A luxury car, spinning wildly out of control. Crash. The Aston Martin skidded violently, tires shrieking against the wet pavement before slamming into a concrete barrier. The front crumpled like paper. Then fire. Flames burst from the hood, licking upward despite the pouring rain. Maya didn't hesitate. Her diploma slipped from her fingers, forgotten, as she sprinted toward the wreck. Through the fractured windshield, she saw him. Piercing blue eyes, dazed, disoriented, yet commanding even in weakness, locked onto hers. For a single heartbeat, they were frozen in place. Then she reached for the door. Maya yanked the door open, metal groaning in protest against the rain. Inside, Damian slumped against the steering wheel, blood trickling down his temple, staining his crisp white collar. "Can you hear me?" Her voice was sharp, urgent. His eyelids fluttered, disoriented. But as his vision cleared, he saw her. Deep brown eyes, rain-soaked skin glowing under the streetlights, dark hair plastered against her face. Nothing about her belonged in his world. Fine," he rasped. But as he tried to move, a bolt of pain shot down his leg. "Fine? Your car is about to explode," she snapped, fingers working swiftly to unbuckle his seatbelt. "Can you stand?" Damian gritted his teeth, nodding. She hooked an arm under his and hauled him out just in time. Ooh! Flames engulfed the Aston Martin, the blast throwing heat against their backs as they collapsed onto the wet pavement. For a moment, there was only the sound of rain and the wild pounding of their hearts. Maya didn't know why she agreed to Damian's offer, a place to dry off instead of waiting for an ambulance. Maybe it was the cold. Maybe it was something in his eyes. Something fractured, yet magnetic. The Hayes Grand penthouse was nothing short of breathtaking. Sleek, modern, a testament to power and wealth. Yet it felt hollow. Damian shrugged off his soaked jacket, pouring 2 glasses of whiskey. "At least let me thank you," he said, handing her one. Maya took it but didn't drink. "Do you always drive like that?" His lips twisted into a smirk. "Only when people are trying to destroy me." They talked. About dreams. She, a struggling graduate wanting to change the world with economics. He, a billionaire having everything, yet feeling lost. The distance between them blurred. Attraction simmered beneath the surface, undeniable, magnetic. They hadn't planned it, but when Damian's fingers brushed her skin, when her breath hitched and his lips found hers, it felt inevitable. That night, they collided, like fire meeting oxygen. But as the first light of dawn crept through the penthouse windows, Maya sat at the edge of the bed, staring at Damian's sleeping form. Her fingers ghosted over the sheets, over the warmth they had shared. Then, taking a deep breath, she slipped away, one last look over her shoulder before disappearing into the city, leaving behind a piece of herself she hadn't meant to give. And inside her, a life had begun to take shape. 6 years passed in a blur. Maya Carter was no longer the ambitious college student she once was. Now, she was a single mother, juggling 12-hour shifts at a high-end Manhattan restaurant. Dreams had been replaced by overdue bills, back-to-back shifts, and a little girl who needed her more than anything. Lily Carter, 5 years old, brilliant and curious, had the same piercing blue eyes as her father. She questioned everything: space, numbers, human nature. But the one question Maya dreaded most was, "Mommy, who is my daddy?" Every time, her heart clenched. She didn't regret keeping the truth from Damian, but sometimes, late at night, she wondered, had she made the right choice? Elsewhere in the city, Damian Hayes was still the ruthless, successful billionaire, but inside, he was hollow. He had everything: wealth, power, control, yet he was haunted by the woman who saved him that night. For 6 years, he searched for her. Private investigators, traffic cameras, facial recognition software. Maya Carter had disappeared without a trace. Sometimes, between endless board meetings and champagne-filled charity galas, he caught himself staring out his office window, searching for a face that had become a ghost. What Damian didn't know was that she had never truly left. Today was Lily's birthday. Maya had spent months saving, cutting back on every expense to give her daughter something special. A weekend at the Hayes Grand, New York's most luxurious hotel. When Lily saw the rooftop infinity pool with the glass-bottomed floor, her eyes sparkled. "Mommy, it's beautiful. Can I swim like a mermaid?" Maya smiled, running a hand through her daughter's curls. She didn't know that this decision would change their lives forever. The Hayes Grand rooftop pool was an architectural marvel, its glass-daubed floor offering a breathtaking view of the city below. Lily Carter, in her shimmering blue swimsuit, skipped along the pool's edge, eyes wide with wonder. "Mommy, I feel like I'm flying," she squealed in delight. Maya watched from a lounge chair, smiling softly. These were the moments that made everything worth it. Lily rummaged through her small bag, searching for her toy. As she pulled her hand out, something fluttered to the floor. A photograph. She picked it up, frowning, then looked up and froze. Her tiny fingers tightened around the image as she glanced between the man in the picture and the man who had just stepped out of the elevator. Same eyes. Same face. Her heart pounded with excitement. "Mommy, look!" she gasped. Then, without a second thought, she ran. Lily bent down to pick it up, just as the elevator doors slid open. A commanding presence filled the space as Damian Hayes stepped onto the pool deck. Tailored black suit, crisp white shirt, powerful posture. He was exactly as she remembered. Untouchable, unreadable. Beside him, Victoria Lancaster, elegant, poised, and very clearly his fiancée. She looped her arm through his, exuding possession. But Lily saw none of that. Her gaze locked onto the man in the photograph, still clutched in her tiny fingers. For a moment, the world stopped. Then Lily ran. "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." Maya froze. Damian stiffened. Victoria gasped. Without hesitation, Lily threw her arms around Damian's legs, her face beaming with pure joy. "Daddy, I knew it. I knew you were real." Damian couldn't breathe. 3 simple words, yet they struck like a hurricane. He looked down at the small girl with the same piercing blue eyes, the soft curls, the innocent smile that was far too familiar. Maya had seconds to react. She rushed forward, grabbing Lily's hand, her voice shaking. "Lily, you can't." But it was too late. Victoria's grip on Damian tightened, then released. Her eyes flashed with fire. "What the hell is going on?" she hissed. Damian still hadn't spoken. Maya felt her entire world crumble beneath her. The secret was out. Damian slammed the suite door shut, the impact echoing through the lavish space. Across from him, Maya stood rigid, her fingers gripping Lily's hand like a lifeline. 6 years, Maya. His voice was low, dangerous. 6 years, and you never told me I had a daughter? Maya drew in a sharp breath, steadying herself. "I did what I thought was right." "Right?" Damian let out a bitter laugh, void of any humor. "You made that decision for me. You stole my chance to be a father. Do you have any idea how long I searched for you?" Maya's fingers curled into fists. "Searching for me? And if you had found me sooner, what would you have done? Would you have walked away from your perfect billionaire life? From your string of women to raise a child?" Damian opened his mouth to argue, but nothing came out, because he didn't know the answer. Between them, Lily tugged at Damian's sleeve, her bright blue eyes filled with curiosity. "Mommy, Daddy," she tilted her head, "do you like hot chocolate? I love hot chocolate." Damian stared down at her, his heart fracturing and healing all at once. He knelt, his fingers brushing over her soft curls. "I think I could learn to like it." Maya turned away, blinking back tears. Because for the first time she saw it, Damian Hayes wasn't the man she thought he was. But could she ever trust him? Damian had never had to learn how to be a father. But now, staring at the 5-year-old with his exact eyes, he knew he couldn't run from this. Lily was a firecracker, full of questions. Damian, a man used to making billion-dollar decisions, now found himself completely unprepared for her innocent inquiries. "Daddy, why don't birds get lost when they fly? Daddy, if I swim in the glass pool, will I fall through? Daddy, do you love Mommy?" That last question made Maya turn away. Damian followed her gaze, but she kept her distance, her eyes guarded with doubt. Damian didn't see the attack coming. Reynolds, his head of security, placed a file on the table. "Mr. Hayes, we have a problem." Damian flipped it open. Contracts, secret transactions, internal emails, everything pointed to one thing. Victoria Lancaster and her family were plotting to take over his company, using his hidden daughter's scandal to manipulate stock value. "Son of a," Damian clenched his fists. "I know how to stop them." Maya's voice cut through the tension. She stood at the doorway, her posture sharp, confident. "You think you can save my company?" Damian arched a brow. Maya stepped forward, calm but fierce. "No, I think I can help you take back what's yours." They worked through the night. Maya dissected transactions, uncovering the weak spots in Victoria's plan. "Owning assets is easy," she pointed at the data, "but making them profitable is a different game. The Lancasters don't understand hotels. They're just manipulating the market." Damian nodded. They couldn't destroy what they didn't understand. The next morning, Damian walked into the boardroom, Maya right beside him. When Victoria entered, the smug smile on her lips vanished instantly. Maya had rewritten the game, and Victoria lost before she even played her first move. Damian turned to Maya for the first time in years, seeing her differently. "I owe you a thank you," he murmured. Maya smirked. "No, you owe Lily a future." Victoria Lancaster was not one to accept defeat. But after being outplayed by Damian and Maya at the board meeting, she had nowhere left to run. That evening, she stormed into Damian's office draped in a blood-red dress, her voice sweet but calculating. "Damian, we can fix this. As long as you keep quiet about that child, we can still get married as planned." Damian looked up, his expression cold. "No," he said, his voice sharp as glass. Victoria stiffened. "What did you just say?" "I spent 6 years searching for Maya, for the truth. I'm not about to turn my back on my daughter just to protect a marriage I never wanted." Victoria's mask cracked. "You're willing to destroy your reputation for a broke waitress and an illegitimate child?" Damian took a step closer, his voice dangerously low. "Lily is my daughter, and I am proud of that." Their arranged engagement was over. From that day on, Damian devoted every spare moment to Lily. He took her to school every morning, picked her up every afternoon. Maya watched from a distance, still hesitant. Damian was present now, but what would happen when he was pulled back into billion-dollar deals and high-stakes boardrooms? Lily, however, had no doubts about her father. One afternoon, as Damian tied her shoelaces outside her school, she suddenly looked up at him. "Daddy, can you move in with us?" Damian froze. Her innocent question made him realize he couldn't lose Maya and Lily again. That night, Damian knocked on Maya's door. When she opened it, he held up a small velvet box. Maya crossed her arms, suspicious. what are you doing?" Damian flipped open the box. Inside sat a silver ring set with a shimmering black stone. "Meteorite?" he said quietly. "Forged over millions of years, unbreakable. Like whatever force pulled us together that night." Maya held her breath. "I won't promise perfection," Damian continued, "but I promise you'll never have to face anything alone again." A single tear escaped down Maya's cheek. For 6 years she had run from Damian, from his world. But this time he wasn't just a billionaire. He was Lily's father. And maybe he could be hers too. Maya nodded. Damian exhaled, a rare smile lighting up his face. He slid the ring onto her finger, a promise carved from the stars. From inside, Lily ran over and wrapped her tiny arms around both of them. "Daddy, will you stay forever?" she whispered. Damian held her tight, his gaze locked on Maya's. "Forever," he said, and this time he meant it. Golden autumn leaves blanketed New York, the soft glow of sunlight filtering through towering skyscrapers. On the rooftop of the Hayes Grand, where fate had once reunited them, twinkling lights and white roses adorned the space. Today was their wedding day. Maya stood before the grand mirror, her fingers tracing the delicate ivory fabric of her wedding gown. She stared at her reflection, still unable to believe this was real, that she was about to marry the man she had once vowed to stay away from. Lily dashed into the room, her pale blue dress swirling like that of a tiny fairy. "Mommy, you're so pretty," she squealed, her sapphire eyes gleaming. Maya smiled softly, kneeling to embrace her daughter. "And you're the most beautiful little flower girl in the world." Outside, Damian waited, clad in a perfectly tailored black suit, but this time, his heart was no longer guarded. As Maya walked toward him, their eyes met. No doubts, no barriers, only love. "Are you ready?" Damian whispered. Maya nodded. They had spent 6 years finding their way back to each other. Today, they finally began their journey, together. A few months later, their little family moved into a house near Central Park, with a small garden where Lily could play. Every morning, Damian made breakfast, took his daughter to school, then accompanied Maya to their office. They became a powerful duo, not just in business, but in life. But most importantly, they were a family. One evening, as Damian read Lily a bedtime story, Maya stood in the doorway, watching quietly. She had once believed Damian would never change. But he had become not just a father, but a man she could trust. She stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered. Damian squeezed her hand, the kind of smile only Maya ever got to see. "I made a promise," he said, and this time he would never let her face the world alone again.